All right, well, the upper bracket game one is here. We're going to be looking at 6 games of Fortnite total here today, but of course we start with the upper bracket. 3 games. Consistency is essentially all that matters. Now, Taco, you talked about a team like NPen and Pump, and I would love to kind of focus in on them. I think it was very clear that they're a team that belongs, you know, in this upper bracket amongst the best calibers, you know, of player, because they ran through the lower bracket lobbies, right? So I'm expecting Pump and NPen here to do very well, especially with them landing here at the Underworld.
Yeah, I'm just going to expand on that even a little bit further. I mean, they were literally first place coming out of lower bracket day 2. They're basically treating the lobby like a Team Rumble playlist, man. It was kind of disgusting just what they were able to accomplish, but they are going to find themselves multi-contested over at the Underworld. Day and Source, I think another one of those notable teams that could pose a pretty big threat for them, but as far as contested affairs go, Paco and Mixen also find themselves up against the likes of Zypha and Costa, but this could potentially be in Paco and Mixo's favor because, as Vivid already highlighted, their best performance so far this weekend actually came through that day 1 of uppers when they were heavily conned.
That's right, because Storm Surge has been a bit of a difficult task for them to try to overcome this time around. It's just a calculation that they haven't quite found the solution to when they're not contested. So being contested here today, I mean, I like their odds. However, this game 1, I'm not feeling like they have the loadout to push this fight. Just from the brief glance that we have from Zypha and Costa there, they had full setups. I mean, Mixen's loadout looking a little bit tighter than Paco's, but if things don't come together, this could go bad pretty quickly. Both sides eyeing each other up though. Zypha haven't quite found a long-range AR, and you see Costa holding on to that mythic Thunderbolt. So depending on who initiates here and who gets the opener, I think that'll for sure determine the direction that this battle ultimately is going to go.
Was a little concerned initially for Mixen while he was along that actual beachfront here at Lovely Lodge, just because he was decently split from Paco, but it doesn't seem as though Costa and Zypha were able to get an idea about that. Still like this though, Mixen attempting to try and duke things out from the low ground. Costa knows that he's got Zypha as well, trying to hold on at low ground. That is going to force Mixen to reunite with Paco, but it's really only a matter of time because, again, MDF, you want to get that surge online, but also you don't want these engagements to extend for too long because it just gives an open invitation for some of the teams. I'm looking more towards the likes of like Snooty Steps, for example, to potentially stroll their way on over and look to have a possible third party.
Yeah, I agree with you. Third parties can happen everywhere. With the game kicking off though, already lobby starting to thin out here. Take a look at Mega and Users jumping in onto Thoric. Oh, with a big elimination right there. This teammate tries to come on through and Users finishes the job. Mega almost sent to the lobby there, but they do enough to stay alive. Back on over to the Grim Gates. Pump and NPen have found their loadouts, and now they're on the move right here looking for material to start setting themselves up for the mid game, and they're actually heading back to the Grim Gates. And it's quite interesting that they moved out, potentially chasing a team or a player out. And as they're heading back, though, other teams have started to migrate their way into their draw spot. So it is going to be very unlikely that they are able to re-engage themselves into the main drop. So you jump over to Bolts and Bryce here. We're actually setting up, seems like outside the bunker very early here. So they're looking to fully commit to trying to secure this loot here.
Yeah, this split by Dumpenhazen has been the priority focus for Bryce and Bolts. Alongside that bunker, they do have the possibility of a forecast tower as well, just south of the Reckless Railways. And I think that from this position, though, they can definitely encounter some struggles with Surge, just given the fact that they're surrounded by a couple of hills. Great overshot view to kind of highlight this. They do need to be wary of that other team across the way that was starting to already base up around the forecast tower, Sieges and Carrot, because that'll probably be the first snag in Bryson Bolts' plan for this weapons bunker. Have to imagine that a forecast tower team have a little bit of an easier time trying to pressure after they're going to be able to secure their objective a little bit faster.
Jumping in with Edgy and Tavern now. Shots ringing in here from teams to the east. Tavern already at 2 eliminations. with Edgy here. So they kick things off with the hot start here. Looking straight up at the opponent's inside of the base up top. Don't want to peek. See the confidence of them just to sit there out in the open. And the side ramps can tell them everything they need, so. Ooh, look at this. A fight breaking out right here between Clix and Epic Whale. Looks like Epic's got things under control.
Yeah, it's very common to see Clix and Epic venture towards Rebel's Roost, given that their initial drop over at the Lavish Lair, especially since today they're going to be uncontested, so they are just attempting to generate surge elsewhere. Veno, player that mentioned it even, you got to have multiple strategies to get that surge online. And this is just one of probably several other ones that Clix and Epic would like to cook up. But again, Rebel's Roost, definitely some familiar territory in terms of having teams stroll their way on over to try and third-party these circumstances. Epic and Clix are also a team that love going for the weapons bunker every single time the spawns nearby Lavish Lair, so they need that engagement to end quickly if they're going to take it at all.
Get a load of this from one battle to the next. Mega and Users already on top of a fresh team. It's PC, Specs here. A little bit split, caught between the two, and ooh, caught with a quick edit here from Mega down low. PC's got to be very, very careful right now. Mega and Users decide to jump on him. Could spell trouble, even with Specs above him. Very few duos can play split fighting. Let's see how it works out. Ooh, Hades Chain though, that's definitely a problem here. You gotta fight back, and they get deleted right as we talk about teams needing to, you know, stick side by side. PC comes in with the Hades Chain and just deletes them. Let's watch that back one more time, likely from the other perspective. PC, the double chain. You know, I was curious how their health went down so fast, and that makes sense.
Well, the crazier part to me, though, is that Mega and Users already had 2 eliminations, and Mega, his mats were just so low. He had, what, I believe 18 builds at that point. And so it's kind of just, I don't want to say unnecessary, but it is a bit odd that they opted to still try and take such early engagements when they already had Surge online from those earlier eliminations instead of just prioritizing getting their materials up. But again, that's just the nature of the game sometimes. You can't always expect the fights that you're going to find yourself stuck in.
We get a little update with Miro and Dukes right here. Mystics, Voids, a lot of teams here on this bubble. He's edge of the zone right now. Miro looking to push the team that's below him right now, but other teams are putting tags in, and Duke's already singled out Mystic here off to the side, and Mystic's on his way to that fresh duo to the left, so I'm curious to see if Miro's going to overcommit here. Does have to be very careful right now. That's where things can start to go south. Yesterday, Miro and Dukes were off to an extremely slow start. If you think back on that, those first 3 games were such a drag for them. It came down to the last game literally needing a top 10 performance in order to even have a seat in today's competition here in the upper. So Miro and Dukes have I feel like a lot of room and time to make up for those drop games. They've been off to a slow start this weekend.
That's sort of been the storyline, though, for Miro and Dukes. You know, just kind of barely scraping by from the open quals to now. But if there's ever a day where a storied team, storied individuals like those two to pull it all out, today is definitely the one, because you don't want to have to duke things out in the lower bracket. Only 15 spots to fight for in comparison to the 25 that are permitted from these 3 games in upper brackets. Clix and Epic also don't want to find their run cut short anytime soon. Strong, consistent placements, MDF. That's really all it's going to take throughout the course of today. And Clix and Epic, they know if they can come out on top for this engagement up against Visuals and Braids. Seems as though Visuals already having to fall back. Clix and Epic, not really trying to split the line of sight just yet. Now Epic's going to take a little bit more of a side-end approach, trying to apply some further pressure onto Braids, but with Visuals having just regened his shields to an ample amount, Only a matter of time before he starts trying to force some builds out of Clicks, and a big tag coming out of Braids onto Clicks. So the retreat now towards the other end as Clicks does everything he can to reunite with Epic. And they are also relatively healthy as far as their shield situation is concerned, but you don't want to have to burn through all of these resources. But that is going to cause Visuals and Braids to get the opportunity now to take advantage of what's inside this weapons bunker, forcing Clicks and Epic back. Yeah,
I was going to say, just as we tuned in, heard that the bunker was opening up, and you can see Visuals and Braids get the best of Epic Whale and Clicks, and this is, I'd say, one of the first times we've seen Epic Whale and Clicks not secure a bunker. More often than not, they're willing to stay into the storm for this one right here, so for them not to win this might affect their overall strategy, but you know what? Looking at the loadout for Clicks, at least, as long as they can get their material back online, they don't seem too bad for wear right now. Although we all know Clicks performs best when he has the sniper in the current meta. But yeah, a little bit of a surprise, I'd say, from this dominating duo right here to not actually come out on top.
Also missing those ideal weapon mod attachments that the mod bench inside of that weapons bunker can provide. So Clicks and Epic, though, just by the way that they were lurking, almost indicates the fact that they're maybe going to look to try and cut off Braids and Visuals at a later point in this first lobby. Fencing Fields, though, starting to pick up and a little bit of local activity, threats, likely spotting out the fact there's a surge tower not too far away in the distance, and that could be part of the reason why we see them sort of hovering more towards the edges. Teams, whenever they spot out these giant surge towers, the last thing you want to do is try to rotate directly through them. And I liked what we saw from earlier today in EU, Malibuca Merstache, where they're literally destroying the buildings here at Grim Gate to prevent teams from getting that massive leverage. But Cam, yeah, big chop coming through regardless.
So much material wasted. You can see he's down to 300, so they put several hundred mats into that. Luckily, the Grim Gate is not highly contested at the moment, so they'll be just fine to go ahead and bounce back. But what a set back there. Take a look at Man City threats here. I find this to be very interesting. Ooh, big headshot. That's onto Pars. And look at how he's actually playing his loadout. Yeah, the DMR with the scope on it does work. 102 for the bad peak there. GG's.
I mean, it's easy for players to feel like they are as safe as can be. But now Baka and Pars definitely going to have to be scrambling throughout the rest of this one. And what's even crazier still is threats, Sphinx, they didn't even fully capitalize on that knock. They weren't really interested. They didn't need any of the resources that could have been provided if they had keyed that building. Instead, they're just going to go straight away towards the next zone. They know that they've got surge damage online, so why not just focus on your positioning?
You can saw Baka was inside that base as well. Chubbs and Aviv right now. It's a team we've been keeping a close eye on over the weekend. Ooh. Surge is active right now. 80 players alive here in game one. We have to drop down, what's it, about 16 for the cutoff. So there's a fair drop here.
Now you're looking at 74 being the cutoff, essentially, of players before that surge threshold is going to fall off here in zone 4. Aviv, though, Chubbs, getting some hello kisses from way outside of Lavish Lair. They've got to be careful, though, because they don't have as much shield resources to expend. Using their Flowberry Fizz this early on could be super problematic, especially having to expend these bananas as well, because sure, they're going to be able to immune the fall damage and everything else, but that's their heals, MDF. This next rotate is going to be pivotal for Chubbs and Aviv, because as soon as that Flowberry Fizz runs out, that low mobility could cause some real problems for their endgame.
Not only that, look at this, having to dig into their metal and their brick here as well. This is not the time in the mid game you want to be expending these types of resources. A great tag right there is going to buy him a little bit of, you know, respect, if you will, from the team next door. But nonetheless, pretty bad spot to be in if you're Aviv and Chubbs here. They're also, you know, at the whim of the other teams to rotate first. Bak and Pars possibly will be forced to show their hand as well here. They're not looking too savvy at this moment. It comes down to overall damage or loadouts for that matter. There's a lot of room for improvement here, so I'm curious to see if Bach and Pars are going to go up to the Rift Island here.
Well, if they want to brawl, there's definitely teams that are situated on top of this Rift Island right now. Looking at what, like just 4 teams directly from the map, and that's not even considering the others that are kind of in these outlier situations like Baka and Pars hovering near the base of that Rift Island. Pump and NPen, meanwhile, still hanging out over by the Underworld. We saw them rotate out earlier on towards Grim Gate, maybe just looking to see if they could find some leftover surge opportunities from a lot of the action that tends to kick off there at the very start. But here in the mid game now, Pump and NPen definitely look good as far as their surge strategy is concerned, but it's really just their materials counts that could be problematic later on. They do seem pretty content, though, to just try and hold up teams that are looking to rotate from the edge of zone.
Yeah, mats are really bad right now. I like the early rotates here. This is their drop spot, though, so at least they should have a good, good lay of the land here for what it's worth. But the longer they wait, the more likely it is going to become more and more difficult for them to get good positioning later on. Take a look at this. The eastern side of the map, much more dangerous than the north side. We jump in with C's getting dropped here by Baka. We knew that Baka and Pars were going to have to force a fight for some of that damage. We didn't think it was going to go down like that, though. They land right inside the wooden base and pickaxe their way through, and Cease doesn't even see it coming. Ended way too quick for him there. No chance, no opportunity to put up a defensive stance here.
I mean, you sit inside of a wood build long enough, it's bound to draw the attention of experienced teams like Baka and Pars. Tough break, though, for Chimp and Scissor, as Ralphie and Void will get credit at least for the elimination onto Scissor. I saw Chimp knocked a little bit earlier on. Don't know if he's still standing or if Scissor was able to revive him, and now Chimp's trying to operate as a solo, but regardless, Ralphie, Void don't seem like they're in all that great of a situation, having to use practically all of their Flowberry Fizz because this surge damage is just lighting them up.
Yeah,
and sure enough, yeah, they tried though.
Stormers just started to ramp up, 2 ticking as Zone 6 came to a close. Eero and Dukes right now, terrible spot to be in as well. They have an opportunity right now to get the refresh, but they have to be quick. 28 builds on Miro. We've seen him in this position before, but 51 damage above is what's really concerning. Late Flowberry Fizz there is going to slow him down a bit. He's going to go and make sure he regenerates that before he leaves the lake side.
Numbers were also just dwindling so rapidly. Bolts, though, taken out by Pars. So Pars and Baka definitely trying to maintain staying above that surge threshold. Even with that one elimination, they're still just barely 71 above. Granted, this next elim onto Bolt's gonna help them out that much further. Bryce trying to do what he can, see if he can defend, but it's just not gonna be enough. With a full duo harping down on him, it's just forced to kind of sit back and wait at the mercy of the other team surrounding that Rift Island. Clicks and Epic also in a whole world of hurt. Surge, just the theme so far here today, MDF. It's only match 1, but so many teams are just struggling with it.
Yeah, Clicks does an excellent job there, dipping into the storm, forced to tank for a couple moments there, and then finds his way on top of these builds here, and they are just in trouble. And it's unfortunate because look at this, the zone's gonna pull its way, so not only does he have a favorable zone, he's gotta play this out by himself, but we've seen Epic will make a top 10 out of a situation very, very similar to this. In fact, he had an even longer rotate to make. And you can see teams actually looking for Clicks right now. They saw the fight go down. They're curious as to what's going on down here. Clicks has to make a move here. If I'm him, I'm probably moving behind the base right now that the zone's pushing further and further inside. He's got to make that consideration. Yeah, see, he's right in between the line of fire of all these teams here, and the surge is still active.
Once a solo has been kind of highlighted, it's just so difficult to actually try and break free. Clicks putting a little bit of pressure here actually onto Decay and Sigma, and it's the right idea. He's got to clear and make some space for himself, as well as just maybe try and take advantage of the fact that he might understand with so many teams nearby him, there might be teams on the other side of the walls there for Sigma and Decay as well, and Clicks just keeps getting the connections. Every little bit counts at this point.
It's keeping him in the game right now, quite literally. 73 above. I saw a 60 tag. An SMG we know hits for like anywhere from 23 to 25, right? Just depending on how you're connecting. So these tags are so critical to his success right now. And he is just really outplaying that duo with the angles. So well played to Click staying alive here. He's going to make the placement points at least. These are things that matter right now. As we talked about, you have 3 games to stay in that upper bracket, essentially to qualify your way out of it and go to the finals here. It's not about anything other than staying consistent, and every game is so crucial. Teams need to start dropping here if you want to start earning your placement, earning your stay. And I look at the feed, Clicks finds the 2 onto Sigma and Decay there. So you blinked, you might have missed it. So let's give us the replay here. Take a look at this. We already knew he had them hurt for wares. Takes the wall, goodness. 88, and then the full finish there. Well played for Clicks.
That window edit, just the most unexpected circumstance there for Decay and Sigma. The way that they split, even for a moment, that was a little bit of wiggle room that Clicks needed. Now trying to play a little bit closer to the backside of zone, making his way forward. Immediately, though, gets tagged up. But that refresh, you can see he picked up a handful of small shield potions, a brand new Flowberry Fizz. Trying to get some regen. Mixon nearly lost his head. But these are wooden floors that Clicks is standing on. Mixon and Paco trying to make quick work of them. Clicks still, though, with a slightly more favorable position. It's just the fact that he's in an unfavorable situation as a solo.
I love that he's putting tags back onto Paco and Mixon. He's really showing any duel that decides to challenge him, I am not someone you're just going to shoot at and not have a fight back, essentially. The resistance is excellent here. It's the difference right now. Top 20 now for Paco and Mixon. This is such a terrible spot to be in here. No shields to work with. Tavin and Edgy have the advantageous position here with the high ground and the zone favor. And they are just in the position to run away with the lobby right here. It's fish in the barrel at this point. Little do they know. Every second super precious. So great shot right there from Clicks. The quick scope. But no, the tags come in from the low ground here. He's got to be careful. Little reset forced here. But Threats wants to fight in the storm, and this is just a worst case scenario there. If Threats just focused on the rotate instead, he'd be okay. GG's.
Oh, that's the thing, is that Threats Paco finds himself getting eliminated there by a Minish, but the Threats got caught up. As soon as Clicks split Sphinx and Threats apart, he'd already played his Saboteur to their strategy as far as the rotations were concerned. Cooper and Kanata, though, these guys have been the embodiment of consistency all weekend long. All they really have to do today is replicate their performances in the first 2 days of Upper so far, because they've actually been one of our few teams in the upper bracket to get the most top 5, 6 total. Miro and Dukes still trying to make quick work.
This is a crazy game for Miro and Dukes. The fact that they were so much in shambles in zone 7, and now they're at 6 eliminations and all the material, and then you kind of zoom out to high ground. Bak and Pars are set up for success. They're just continuing the trend from yesterday. They feel like they've been due for a win over this week, and they had high ground. They haven't been able to secure a win from it yet. This is by far the most favorable position we've seen them in. And then the low ground is just, again, more experienced duos here. So every layer has a juggernaut of its own.
Edgy had 9 bullets, by the way. This is a little bit dicey for Edgy and Tavern. Cooper and Kanata, though, Visual is going to find himself getting eliminated. Nice 2-piece there from Cooper. to take out Braids immediately after the fact, but that leaves Miro and Dukes as a potential power duo playing the low ground. They're gonna find Victor some more materials, exactly what they needed, but Dorito just holding the line here. Dukes left to his lonesome after losing his teammate Miro. He's gonna play the medkit for the time being, but the team on high ground, it's Baka and Pars. And they're doing a great job as far as materials are concerned until they run out of their final build.
It was so close there, too. Dukes was almost just there in the nick of time, but B-Dog pushes the wall on Dukes and essentially sacrifices both of them. He wanted that second place. It looks like he earned something there. Dorito and Kobe, though. What? From the low ground. Delete Baka and Pars. They did not just do that.
Baka and Pars had been holding height for like the last 2 zones, but that material count just dissipated at way too rapid of a rate for them to keep up with. But those angles from Dorito off the low ground, like you just said, MDF, it's incredible to think about the fact that they just had such a quick shutdown of Baka and Pars, essentially.
What a devastating loss right there for Baka and Pars. Now, again, it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it kind of doesn't, because you just want a lot of points. But if this is like a format like yesterday and that happens, oh, you're gonna lose it. Congratulations to Dorito and Kobe, who play excellently from the low ground there. You have to appreciate a good low ground win. You know, we just don't catch it like that very often, Taco.
Of course not, but at the same time, some of our other teams, notable mention, Dukes and Miro, top 3, the leaderboard looking kind of nice, so we got to see what Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly have to say on the rest.